one of the things I saw in a recent video by Bob the World Builder was him discussing how he's actually having difficulty, and I've seen other posts about this, about people having difficulty being able to express the variations of success and failure. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could like go into that a bit, into what in those moments when you do apply those variations, how do you express that, and what mental images come to mind when you're trying to do that?
Right. So the way that I think of it is I look at the polar opposites of the results. So success with hope is the best that you can get. That's a success. Everything is all good. That's easy. Failure with fear, easy. You don't get what you want. It's the worst that it could be. So in an example that I just came up with right now of jumping over a cliff, right? Like you're jumping over a chasm and you're trying to get to the other side. A success with hope is going to be you make it to the other side, everything is fine. Nothing bad happens. A failure with fear is going to be you fall. That's it. And so taking those two results and finding the middle ground is that magic. So like succeeding with hope or succeeding with fear, that's when, okay, you make it to the other side, but you're grabbing onto the edge of this cliff. And so, yes, you made it, but there is that cost of you are in danger still. Somebody needs to help you.
Yeah.
And then a failure with fear could be that you don't get to the other side. You land 30 feet below, grabbing onto a vine and holding on for dear life. And then you can start like a countdown for somebody to help, a countdown of 4. You have 4 actions for your players to go down and help, whatever that looks like. So you're not falling, because that would have been failure with fear.
Yeah.
You made it to the other side and you're in danger right now and you need to be helped in order to get over to the other side. So yeah, just looking at the polar opposites and then finding that middle between them, which I know is a lot easier said than done. So when it does come to those moments where like you don't know what to do, the best thing to do is to ask the players and see what they think. Because when they roll what their result is, if they know that they failed with fear, or failed with hope, they know what's going to happen. They have an idea. Once that roll shows that they got a 3 with hope, like they already have an idea of what's going to happen. I guarantee it. So when you as the GM don't know what to do, just bring them into it. I mean, that's one of the golden, like really nice things about Daggerheart, is that is at the core of the TTRPG, is collaborating together and bringing the players into that GMing side of things and lowering that power dynamic, because they have just as much of a say in what the story is as the GM does. The GM is just everything else outside of the players, the environment, the adversaries, NPCs, all of that. So storytelling is the entire table. So, bringing in the players on that result is an easy way to fix that. And then also just don't do anything. Just if it's really, really that hard, if it's a success and there's 2 polar opposites and there's no in between, success with fear can just be a success and then you gain a fear. That's the fear element. That's the cost of it. And then a failure with hope can just be they fail, but they gain a hope. That's the hope part of it. Like it can just be that. So I think there's a lot of pressure in that. And I know that there's also a lot of pressure in like GMing and having to be the next Matt Mercer at your table. But like the thing is that you don't want to be the Matt Mercer at your table, because Matt Mercer uses D&D, and that is a completely different power dynamic than there is in Daggerheart. And this is to lower that and basically become a player that just has insider knowledge. So
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times when people see that mechanic, they're like, "Oh, I have to use it every single time at every single instance." It's like, no, because first off, you only have but so many hours to play. For every single roll, or you're rolling to see if to check it for something in their pockets. Do you really want to go through and explain all that? Right. So in certain situations, knowing when to go into those descriptions and when not to is part of GMing and is a part of storytelling, of knowing when is the appropriate time to do something for pacing or story, etc. But also, I feel like people get caught up in that, but also have to realize it's playing off of improvisation, and improv is like a muscle. You have to.
Yes.
The only way you're going to get better at it, though, is if you practice, and if you keep training your imagination to think on the fly, to work with, and yes, and all these different things. So that's the give and take. You don't always have to do it, but keep in mind to try to practice, because if you don't, you're not going to improve at it.
Right. And improv is, I remember hearing this from somebody and being like, oh yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Improv is not just going in there with nothing and then coming up with it as you go. It's preparation plus going with the flow and coming up with things on the fly. Like, you have to do the prep in order to get to that point where you're able to do the improv. For the most part, like, there are improv shows where people just ask the audience to bring things in and they just go with the flow, but they're trained actors. Most people playing this game aren't. So preparing for them is years of doing this. For us, it's, okay, what does a success look like? What does a failure look like? What is the in-between of those? Okay, great. Now I can have that ready to go, so that if something happens, oh, okay, I can fall back on this, or if there's a different circumstance, you can use this to apply to that situation, and then just twist it a little bit so that it fits better. Like, that's the biggest tip that you can do, is prepare. Do your job as a GM to prep for session.
Exactly.